In October 1957, the world entered the space age. At that time, a multi-stage rocket took off from a launching site in Russia. As each rocket stage burned out, the next one fired. The last one launched the world's first artificial satellite called the Sputnik 1.
From a ground station nestled in the mountains at Andover, Maine, a signal is sent to a speeding satellite, an historic feat that could reshape man's future. That satellite, of course, is the Telstar, 170 pounds of complex electronic equipment that receives signals beamed from Earth, magnifies them 10 billion times, and rebroadcasts them back to Earth. Pictures, telephone calls, telegraph messages, and computer data all can be handled by the orbiting device. The Telstar receives its power from batteries that are recharged by the sapphire-coated solar cells, which in turn are activated by rays from the sun as it hurtles through space at a low point of 600 miles to a high of 3,500 miles. The Telstar is sent aloft from Cape Canaveral atop a Thor Delta rocket in a joint industry government effort. The Space Administration team handles the launching for AT&T, and it's a $50 million phone call for the telephone company. Future plans call for the orbiting of 20 to 25 satellites like the Telstar. Thus, when one passes out of range of ground stations, another will be coming into position. Presently, along with the ground station in Maine, there is a receiver and transmitter in Great Britain at Cornwall, and in France on the coast of Brittany. Even as Telstar is launched, the French rush to complete their installation to receive a signal that night. Now the rocket climbs far into the atmosphere, and the Telstar is about to separate and orbit the Earth each 2.5 hours. Starting with the 6th orbit and through the 9th, the Telstar is in range of both the U.S. and European stations, and pictures are received clearly in France, with somewhat lesser success in Britain on this first test. The signals are beamed from this 18-story dome that houses the super-sensitive horn weighing nearly 400 tons, an antenna so delicately tuned that it picks up a mere whisper of a signal from the satellite and amplifies it again billions of times for rebroadcast over cables or the air. Now comes the historic moment, a moment compared in significance with the first message sent over the telegraph. This is the first picture transmitted to outer space and received back again on Earth. Scenes of the dome at Andover are flashed across the sea, and man marks another milestone in this age of scientific miracles. So proudly it waves. What does the future hold? Well, scientists visualize a belt of Telstars encircling the globe in such a manner that transmission will be continuous around the world. Both sides of the Earth can be in immediate photographic contact, communication that could bring better understanding among men.
Hello, folks. My name is Rick, and I'm an amateur radio operator. My FCC call sign is KB1ASM. It's Kilo Bravo 1 Alpha Sierra Mike. On October 26, 1957, the Soviet Union launched the satellites. It was a communications satellite, and it was the first man-made satellite to orbit the planet Earth. On December 12, 1961, Just barely 4 years after Sputnik 1 and before Telstar was launched, the first amateur radio satellite was launched into space. It was named Oscar 1, which is an acronym for Orbiting Satellites Carrying Amateur Radio, and was the first civilian satellite to orbit the Earth. Oscar 1 was built by amateur radio operators based in California for a cost of $64. It measured 6 inches by 10 inches by 13 inches and weighed 22 pounds. Oscar 1 carried a battery-powered 140 milliwatt transmitter that broadcast a Morse code signal of 4 dits and then 2 dits. Since 1961, amateur radio operators have built and launched over 60 Oscar satellites. There are currently 18 operational amateur radio lights in orbit. They are designated as repeaters, linear transponders, and store and forward digital relays. Here are several photos that are retrieved from the AMSAT website. AMSAT refers to the Radio Amateur Satellite Corporation, which is a worldwide amateur radio organization. The next photo is Dick Daniels, W4PUJ, building Oscar 8 in the clean room of his cellar. And lastly, Jan King, K8GEY, with a partially assembled Oscar satellite, cleaning it out with a vacuum cleaner. My first introduction to amateur radio satellites was at the 36th annual Herman Hamfest in Herman, Maine. It was sponsored by the Pine State Amateur Radio Club. That's where I met John, K1JO. John designed and built his own portable satellite tracking system. About a year later, I attended the Ellsworth Symposium, sponsored by the Ellsworth Amateur Wireless Association. This is what I learned from that event.
Please go up and read the joint resolution. We got the Maine legislature to do a joint resolution recognizing Maine Amateur Radio Operators World Amateur Radio Day, which is April 18th, and it's on the 100th anniversary of the International Amateur Radio Union. So it's a big deal, and that was right on the floor of the House and Senate there about a week and a half ago.
In the 90s, I got into satellites. It was the Russian satellites, and I actually RS-10. I was just looking at my my notes and my records, and I made 2 contacts through RS-10. It was the uplink was, let's see, I just wrote that down. I think it was 10 meters. It was 29 megahertz, and it came down on 2 meters. And I don't even remember now what I was using for equipment, but that was such a big thrill back then in the 90s, because the software was, it was pretty, I was able to follow the satellite and, listen for the beacon. So that was quite a thrill. Oh my gosh, I am having a lot of fun. Yeah.
Welcome to my presentation. A lot of you guys have sat through this before, but I change it up every once in a while. This time I used a black background instead of a blue one, but ARIS, which is Amateur Radio International Space Station. Their main goal is to inspire students worldwide, pursue interests in careers, science and technology, engineering, and math through amateur radio communications and opportunities to speak with the International Space Station in-orbit crews, which they do quite often. All of these space agencies, NASA, Russian Space Agency, Canadian Space Agency, Japanese Space Agency, and European Space Agency, they all contribute to ARIS. It's worldwide, it's not just a local thing. I used to use this in my car. I would use this and this. I would have this on 440. I would find the satellite. This is my downlink. And then I would just use my mobile radio in my car as the uplink. Because vertical antennas, 20 to 30 degree takeoff angle. So if you get a satellite low in the sky, 20, 25 degrees across, you can bang them every time with just a radio in your car. And you can also hear them too. So, if you ever want to pick up the space station coming by or something, just throw the frequency in there and you can hear it coming through. So this is the elk antenna. It is a log periodic. It will go from 2 meter up through 440, probably go higher or lower, but it's designed 2 meter and 440. So it's one feed line, goes in, and you just point it, and you move it back and forth to kind of get to wherever the satellite is. If you're going to work a long pass, make sure you ate your Wheaties. This gets very heavy as you're going across. Very tight beam width on here, though, so you have to keep it right on the money all the time. Very affordable, though. My favorite is the arrow antenna, which is this one right here. And the reason it's called an arrow is because that's what it was built out of when it was designed. Arrow elements, aluminum shaft elements. This is my poor man's alt-azimuth rotor. Now, before I said max elevation, which is my favorite thing. What you do with this is you point this to wherever the max elevation is and the max elevation azimuth. And say your max elevation is, I don't know, we can go 30 degrees. So we just park that at 30, or somewhere around there, close enough. Let me move it out away from the wall here. I wanted to put it back, I didn't want anybody getting in there. Once you have the angle, you can take that off. And then what happens is, when you swing this, it will go from wherever the satellite comes over, and it will follow the path all the way across. Because satellites go in a straight line, horizon to horizon. So, but you have to get all that motion. You have to be able to get it up and down and side to side. You also move it like this because those satellites tumble, and you guys know that if you have vertical, horizontal polarization, it will go. You can kind of do this to compensate for it a little bit as it comes across. So, and also using the ISS detector software, if you set your phone right here, if you watch that little radar thing, if you kept the dot right on that point, you're right on the satellite the whole time. So you can do it that way too. This is a good value for the money. It also comes with a duplexer. I took the duplexer out because it was hanging a bunch of stuff down here, so you only need one input. And I will leave this set up so you guys can come look at it. Just make sure you watch the elements. I was gonna use a protractor and a string and all that, make it cool, but you can buy this for like $6 at Home Depot, so it really alleviated a lot of my building things. But that's a good way to do it. Whiskey 1, Tango uniform. Whiskey 1, Tango uniform. Let me see. I'm going to make a sudden change here. I was not getting any audio out of here, so. What did I do wrong here?
Is it on box?
1 1 1 1. 1 1 1. Not getting any. Can't get that high. 1 1 1 1 1 2 3 4 5. Might have an issue with my radio. Maybe that's the reasoning behind it. Always test your equipment before you demonstrate it. No, have fun. Have fun with radio, as I do all the time. That's why I love to talk about it. It's just a fun hobby.
Hand clock, I had that up. Did anybody see that? Before I brought the slideshow up, hand clock was on this side. It's a pretty cool program that, you know, you can have the big picture of the sun, the earth, the moon, and track the satellites, or look at the DX and see what the DX is out there, or beacons. Just a lot of things on that hand clock.
K0LB and 2FYA. Hello there. I hope everything's going well down Virginia. Not bad. It looks like we're going to get some rain here in a little bit, but 73. Have a good day. You too. Take care. And 2FYA 73. Lima Bravo, WO3TM. Bravo 3, Delta Tango, Quebec Fox, November 00. WO3T, Kilo 0, South, 70. AF.
November 1 Echo Papa, Fox Nancy 64.
November 1 Echo Papa, Kilo Delta 1 Tango Foxtrot, Fox Nancy 42.
QSL, thanks for the contact. November 1 Echo Papa, 73.
November 1 Echo Papa, November 8 Hotel India, Nancy 73, Bill.
Yeah, November 8 Hotel India from November 1 Echo Papa, Fox Nancy 64, 73, thanks.
Thank you. You have a very good rest of your day, Hotel India, this is Kilo
As a member of the York County Amateur Radio Club, I have the privilege of knowing Ernie, KB4EFX. Ernie was a U.S. Army helicopter pilot and flight instructor for 32 years, and then spent another decade flying helicopters in civil aviation. This is what I learned from Ernie.
All right, what we're doing is satellite operations. We'll see what happens today. This software you see on the screen and on my computer is downloaded automatically when I bring up this. This by CSN Technologies, many other companies out there do the same thing. This talks to my computer, which brings up the information here. And what I'm going to do is look right now for the next passes of satellites. So I'm going to click next passes, and it's looking. It'll bring them up here in a minute. Okay, now these are the satellites. All of these are amateur satellites. The green are the ones that are coming up. This one's going down. This IO-117 is coming up, but it's questionable. And these are the times these other satellites are coming up. You see the green flag, they're all operational. Doesn't mean anybody's on them, and it'll look. The next pass is AO-07, which is 11:06, which is about 20 minutes from now. Again, we can't use this, so I'll just pick that. And we'll get the data on it. And here's the data. We'll get the orbital tracks. There are the orbital tracks. This is the satellite on the upper left. You can see where my arrow is. That's the satellite. It's over Africa. Actually, it's over the Gulf of Aqaba. I used to fly over the Gulf of Aqaba. So it's going to go northward and come down south. And as you can see here, I won't be able to talk to it because it's really on the edge of the envelope, really low on the horizon. So we're not going to have any luck. But over here where it says radio, if I was able to talk to it, there's many modes. This is beacon. If I pick beacon, it'll come up on my radio right here. It'll just be the identifier for that satellite. If I want to talk to it using Morse code, I can do it on this frequency. This is the uplink, and this is the downlink. If I want to do it in single sideband, this is the uplink, and downlink is HF, which I don't have it hooked up for. And I have no idea what this is. And so the frequency I would use would be this one right here, single sideband. I would uplink on 145. Now this radio through this connection here will automatically adjust for Doppler shift. Okay, as the satellite gets closer to me, the frequency will increase because it's coming really rapidly. And this will adjust for it so I can talk and have a good conversation with anybody because it automatically adjusts for Doppler shift. When the satellite passes over me and goes away, then the frequency will drop. Okay, and this radio will automatically adjust for Doppler shift, and I'll still be able to hold a conversation, which a few weeks ago I did using a transponder on the ISS, International Space Station. We have transponders or repeaters, if you want to call it that. We can talk to them. And I find the ISS has the best ones. So we can talk through that repeater. And I've done that a number of times to other people in the United States and one in Europe. So I just talk to the satellite on an uplink frequency, whatever it gives me right in here, up, you see. And I receive them on the downlink frequency. And I've done it through the ISS, and it's really good. It's just like talking on a telephone. Sometimes it gets bad on other satellites, but on the ISS one, it's really pretty successful. But this is giving me all the information I need about the satellite. Its location, again, coming up the Mediterranean, it'll go up to the North Pole and down through western United States. This is my position. The green dot is acquisition of signal. You can see it's right on the edge of my capability, so I won't be able to use it. And this is the maximum elevation. I think they said it was max elevation was 3.3 degrees, so not usable. Sorry, I dropped the mic. So let me see if I can find one that's going to be usable. I'm going to go to next passes. It's looking for passes. The next usable satellite will be RS. This is another very successful one aside from the International Space Station, RS-44. I've used that a lot. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that. We'll see. Gathering the information. Okay, you can see again, it's going to be right at the limit, so I will not be able to talk to it. You came to visit at a poor time for satellite operations. I have, with the International Space Station's repeaters, or transponders we call it, I've been able to talk with very low on the horizon. And as soon as it got up higher, I had trouble, which is really weird. But I've had success with the International Space Station repeaters talking when it's low on the horizon. This software will give me the map. It'll be the orbital parameters here, visually. It'll be my location here in the center where it says polar. This is me, where the arrow says that I said before. You can see the symbology here. This is my antenna. Acquisition of signal is green. The satellite hasn't arrived yet. Loss of signal is red. And the satellite is that diamond. And if you look over to the map, you can see it's right down here near the South Pole. Now for ground, this is giving me elevation. When it gets closer, it'll give me acquisition of signal, and you'll see the satellite just go up if it had a higher altitude than it's going to be. So it'll go all the way up to 75, up to 90 degrees. I've had one pass directly overhead, 90 degrees overhead. Okay, and over here, this is the track. And again, this is the name of the satellite, azimuth, elevation, antenna position, azimuth and elevation. The range is 7,500 miles from here. Acquisition of signal, which is going to be 1124, a while from now. Loss of signal is 1137, so it doesn't stay around long. As you can see by the polar map up here, it's just going to zip right across. Boom. Max elevation is 6.2 degrees. That'll be reflected up here where it says ground. And you can see this is when I acquire the satellite, which won't be for a while. That's a local repeater ID. This will track the elevation of the satellite. And these are all the modes. This uplink frequency is here, downlink frequency is here, and these are the modes. So you get a lot of information. Now I can double tap, hopefully this works, and it'll magnify it. Wait a minute. You can get all this information. Again, this is satellite. This is this area of coverage in red. When it gets close up here, it'll turn circular. Okay. And this is the polar. Again, this is me. This is my location. I can magnify it. You can see this will be acquisition of the satellite. Satellite's down here at the South Pole, but I'll acquire it here, and I'll just barely see it until loss of signal up to the north. So you can magnify these and give you more information. Same thing with this track. You know, so I just moved it over. Well, it's just not enough. Anyhow, the acquisition of signal will be right here, and it's only going to go up, I think it said 8 degrees, something like that. Any questions? It's on FM. The downlink is all in frequency modulation, so it's like using a local repeater, so it's a lot less noise. On single sideband, on this high frequency, as we know as amateur radio operators, it tends to be noisy, so we have filters that can remove some of the noise. But it's a lot quieter, it's a lot more readable going through FM and going through a satellite. It's amazing the people I've talked to. It's going to be a quick conversation because the satellite's traveling 17,500 miles an hour. But the conversations I have had are like talking on a local repeater, very clear. The information they want my call sign, my grid square location, which the whole world is in the amateur radio world, the whole world is divided up into really small grid squares. They'll want my call sign, my grid square, and normally the town and that's the basic information they want. And then if we have time, then we'll start a conversation about your equipment and power out and so forth. The other thing we got to be careful of, as the satellite's getting close to, this will put out on VHF a 144, this 140, this put out 100 watts. As the satellite gets closer, we've got to move the power down, or you can overload the satellite and start draining its battery.
I've read about that,
Yep, so we've got to be careful about power output. So as the satellite gets closer, we dial down the power.
To what level?
I've gone from 100 watts down to about 10 watts. If it's directly overhead, that's all you need. I mean, it's 200 miles that way.
No obstruction.
No obstructions. Yeah, so 10 watts is just as good as 100 watts on single sideband. And yeah, so as the satellite goes away from you, then you're going to want to crank up the power until you lose it. You can judge how you're going to lose it by what we see on the map here and here. Okay, but when it happens quick.
Yeah.
You know.
So if the satellite is low on the horizon, how many minutes do you have to actually?
Right here, we can see right here, acquisition of signals 11:24, 11:37. So you can see it's what, 12, 13 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and then if the satellite is active, then everybody's jumping on it. So you'll hear multiple call signs, and when he hears you quickly, he'll respond to you. The one whoever's on the satellite first and whoever he hears first, clearly, he'll jump on that person, and then we'll have the QSO. And that happens like on the ISS. I said I prefer the ISS transponders because I get a longer, the path that it goes over, it's pretty stable and it's pretty high, so we'll have a longer conversation, and it's really, really cool. But these other ones, like this one, the RS-44, which is another good satellite, it depends on where it is. If it's high on the horizon, if it's the altitude, the altitude is high, then you're going to have a long conversation. But everybody's going to be jumping in. So it's a matter of who hears you the clearest and does your voice get out.
CQ contest, Italy Tango 9, Whiskey Delta Charlie, contest. Oscar Germany 8, Mike 59228, 228.
Okay, down at the bottom, this is history of what's happened. This is what's happening now.
362, for you the number is 228, 228, over. Ciao, India Tango 9, Whiskey Delta Charlie, contest.
I didn't know there was a contest going on. So this is operating on 28 megahertz, or what we call 10 meters. And this is where we are, where my finger there is pointing.
Again, Kilo Charlie 1 again.
You can see the spike coming up here.
Okay, Kilo Charlie 1, Quebec, Echo, Mexico. Thank you, 59229, 229, over. Okay, number 30. Okay, thank you and good luck. India Tango 9, Whiskey Delta Charlie.
He's from Italy.
CQ contest, Italy Tango 9, Whiskey Delta Charlie, contest.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.